A werewolf is a mythological or folkloric human with the ability to shapeshift into a wolf or a therianthropic hybrid wolf-like creature, either purposely or after being placed under a curse or affliction. The word werewolf continues a late Old English, a compound of woman and wolf. The only Old High German testimony is in the form of a given name, Werewolf, although an early Middle High German Werwolf is found in Burchard of Worms and Berthold of Regensberg. The word or concept does not occur in medieval German poetry or fiction, gaining popularity only from the 15th century. The werewolf is a widespread concept in European folklore, existing in many variants, which are related by a common development of a Christian interpretation of underlying European folklore developed during the medieval period. From the early modern period, werewolf beliefs also spread to the New World with colonialism. The persecution of werewolves and the associated folklore is an integral part of the witch hunt phenomenon, albeit a marginal one, accusations of werewolfery being involved in only a small fraction of witchcraft trials. During the early period, accusations of lycanthropy, transformation into a wolf, were mixed with accusations of wolf riding or wolf charming. Science is without value if we only seek to prove what is impossible or unreal. It is about understanding what we have yet to fully grasp, learning about things that do exist. There are many things that scientists today can still not explain. Things that completely throw them off. They believe that it is not physically possible for a human being to shapeshift, but how can they possibly know without solid proof that we can't? So many things that they try and prove right or wrong, but sometimes it's just too complicated even for our minds to comprehend. A werewolf is a shapeshifter. Distinguishing between the two is pointless since they are both one animal transforming into another, unless true werewolf somehow means something completely different. Also, the idea of using certain percentages of the brain is a confused one. Some would argue that we use all of our brains to function, which is true. What you are referring to is capacity. We do use our whole brain. Not at one time, but it may be possible to gain access to a higher intensity of use. One could argue that higher intelligence is essentially having a stronger brain, comparing the brain to a muscle. So then, just as more becomes possible with physical strength when more energy is allotted, perhaps more can become possible for the brain with enough energy or enough exercise. The moon doesn't make beings angry. Whatever bizarre force the moon exerts affects beings in a spectrum, for some greatly affecting them, for some not at all, and a whole range of possible results. For one person, it could affect emotions in the form of love, for another person in the form of anger. It's unpredictable. The most noticeable origin of the connection of werewolves to the full moon is in Petronius' writings in his Satyricon. The idea was then used by movies and books as a good suspense build in stories. If the retrovirus did infect an ancestral wolf species, obtaining DNA sequences and proteins from it, changing its structure and infecting humans and causing alterations in their genetic composition, then perhaps, if the human was able to transform into a hybrid wolf-human creature, it also has the potential to transform into a wolf, the initial wolf physiology the DNA was obtained from. This could account for therianthropes too. The retrovirus already had the wolf DNA, so if it was incorporated and properly sequenced in the human body, assuming this occurs in times of mental stability or times of great fear and urgency, the person may turn into a wolf. Ultimately, the werewolf could be a secondary sequencing stage with some of the genes unlocked. However, the wolf could be a penultimate stage with all the wolf genes unlocked. This could also explain why some therianthropes claim to actually turn into wolves, and also why some claim to turn into a wolf-human hybrid, aka a werewolf. The more powerful therianthropes turn into wolves by unlocking their connection. A werewolf can be considered an evil beast, seeing that it's both human and animal. These evil beasts were frequently mentioned in the Bible and were dangerous. Animals cannot commit evil, but the mere fact that some beasts were called evil shows they were more than just beasts.